Sri Sai Satcharitra, Chapter 28 Sparrows Drawn to Shirdi. Lakshmi Chand, Burhanpur Lady, Megha. Preliminary. Sai is not finite or limited. He dwells in all beings from ants to insects to the Lord Brahma. He pervades all. Sai was well versed in the knowledge of the Vedas as well as in the science of self realization. As he was proficient in both these, he was well fitted to be the Sadguru. Anyone, though learned but not able to awaken the disciples and establish them in self realization, does not deserve to be called a Sadguru. Generally, the father gives birth to the body, and death invariably follows life. But Sadguru does away with both life and death, and so he is more kind and merciful than anybody. Sai Baba often said that let his man, the devotee, be at any distance, 1,000 kos away from him. He will be drawn to Shirdi like a sparrow with a thread tied to its feet. This chapter describes the stories of three sparrows. Lala Lakshmi Chand. This gentleman was first Venkateshwara Press in Bombay and thereafter in the firm Raleigh Brothers as a Munshi clerk. He got the contact of Baba in 1910. 1 or 2 months before Christmas, he saw in his dream at Santa Cruz an old man with a beard standing and surrounded by his bhaktas. Some days later, he went to the house of his friend, Mr. Dattatreya Manjunath Bijur, to hear the kirtan by Das Ganu. It was always the practice of Das Ganu to keep Baba's picture in front of the audience while making the features of the old man he saw in his dream tallied exactly with those in the picture, and thus he came to the conclusion that the old man he saw in his dream was Sai Baba himself. The sight of this picture, Das Ganu's Kirtan, and the life of the saint Tukaram on which Das Ganu was discoursing, all these things made a deep impression on his mind, and he pinned to go to Shirdi. It is always the experience of the bhaktas that God always helps them in their search for Sadguru and other spiritual endeavors. That very night at 8 p.m., a friend named Shankar Rao knocked at his door and asked him whether he would accompany him to Shirdi. His joy knew no bounds, and he at once decided to go to Shirdi. He borrowed 15 rupees from his collections, left for Shirdi. In the train, he and his friend Shankar Rao did some bhajan and inquired about Sai Baba with some fellow passengers, 4 Mohammedans who were returning to their place near Shirdi. They all told them that Sai Baba was a great saint living in Shirdi for many years. Then, when they reached Kopargaon, he wanted to buy some good guavas for offering to Baba, but he was so much enwrapped with the scenery and sights there that he forgot to purchase them. When they were near, just then he saw an old woman with a guava basket on her head running after the tanga. The tanga was stopped and he gladly purchased some select fruits, when the woman said, "Take all the rest and offer them on my behalf to Baba." The facts that he had intended to purchase guavas, but that he had forgotten to do so, the old woman's encounter and her devotion to Baba, all these were a surprise to both friends. And Lakshmi Chand thought that the old woman might be some relation of the old man he saw in his dream. Then they drove on and came near Shirdi, and on seeing flags on the masjid, they saluted them. With puja materials in hand, they then went to the masjid and worshipped Baba with due formality. Lakshmi Chand was much moved and was extremely happy to see Baba, as a bee with a sweet smelling lotus. Then Baba spoke as follows: "Cunning fellow, he does bhajan on the way and inquires from others. Why ask others? Everything we should see with our own eyes. Where is the necessity to question others? Just think, where is the necessity to question others? Just think for yourself whether your dream is true or not. Where was the necessity of the darshan by taking a loan from a Marwadi? Is the heart's desire now satisfied? Hearing these words, Lakshmi Chand was wonderstruck how Baba came to know about all things that had happened en route from his house to Shirdi. The chief thing to note in this respect is that Baba never liked people to run into debt for taking his darshan or celebrating any holiday or making any pilgrimage. Sanja. At noon, when Lakshmi Chand was sitting for meals, he got some sanja from a devotee as prasad. He was pleased to have it. Next day also he expected it but got nothing. So he was anxious to get it again. Then Aarti time, Bapu Saheb Jog asked Baba what Naivedya he should bring. Baba told him to bring sanja. Then the bhaktas brought two big potfuls of sanja. Lakshmi Chand was very hungry and there was some pain in his back. Then Baba said to him, "It is good that you are hungry. Take sanja and some medicine for the pain in the neck." He was again wonderstruck to see that Baba again read his mind and spoke out what was passing therein. How omniscient he is! Evil eye. On this occasion he once witnessed one night the procession to the Chavadi. Baba then suffered from cough. He thought that this suffering of Baba might be due to somebody's evil eye. Next morning, when he went to the masjid, Baba spoke to Shama as follows: "I suffered last night from cough. Is it due to some has worked on me? And so I am suffering." In this case, Baba spoke out what was passing in Lakshmi Chand's mind. On seeing these proofs of Baba's omniscience and kindness to his devotees, he fell prostrate at Baba's feet and said, "I am much pleased with your darshan. Ever be kind and merciful to me and protect me always. There is no other God to me in this world except your feet. Let my mind be ever wrapped in your bhajan and feet. Let your grace protect and let me ever chant your name and be happy." After getting Baba's udi and blessing, he returned home with his friend, much pleased and contented, and singing Baba's glory on the way. He remained a staunch devotee of Baba afterwards and always sent garlands of flowers, camphor, and dakshina with any person of his acquaintance bound for Shirdi. Burhanpur lady. Now let us turn to another sparrow, Baba's word meaning devotee. One lady in Burhanpur saw in her dream Sai Baba coming to her door and begging khichdi for his meals. On awakening, she saw nobody at her door. However, she was pleased with the vision and told it to all, including her husband. He was employed in the postal department, and when he was transferred to Akola, both husband and wife, who were devout, day, they left for Shirdi and after visiting Gomati Tirth on the way, reached Shirdi and stayed there for 2 months. Every day they went to the masjid, performed Baba's worship, and passed their time happily. The couple came to Shirdi to offer khichdi as Naivedya, but for the but for the first 14 days, somehow or the other, it could not be offered. The lady did not like this delay. Then on the 15th day, she came at noon to the masjid with her khichdi. There she found that Baba and others were already sitting for meals when the curtain was let down, but the lady could not wait. She threw up the curtain with her hand and entered. Strange to say that Baba seemed that day hungry for khichdi and wanted that thing first, and when the lady came in with the dish, Baba was delighted and began to eat morsel after morsel of khichdi. On seeing the earnestness of Baba in this respect, everybody was wonderstruck, and those who heard the story of khichdi were convinced that his extraordinary love for his devotees. Megha. Megha of Viramgao was a simple and illiterate Brahmin cook of Rao Bahadur H.V. Sathe. He was a devotee of Shiva and always chanted the five-syllabled mantra Namah Shivaya. He did not know the Sandhya, nor its chief mantra the Gayatri. Rao Bahadur Sathe was interested in him, got him taught the Sandhya and the Gayatri. Sathe told him that Sai Baba of Shirdi was the embodied form of the god Shiva and made him start for Shirdi. At the Broch station, and his simple and orthodox mind was much perturbed at the prospect of bowing to a Muslim, and he prayed to his master not to send him there. His master, however, insisted on his going there and gave him a letter of introduction to his father-in-law, Ganesh Damodar, alias Dada Kelkar at Shirdi, to introduce him to Sai Baba. When he reached Shirdi and went to the masjid, Baba was very indignant and would not allow him to enter. "Kick out the rascal," roared Baba, and then said to Megha, "You are a high caste Brahmin and I'm a low Muslim. You will lose your caste by coming here, so get away." Hearing these words, Megha began to tremble. He was wondering as to how Baba had to come to know about what was passing in his mind. But was not convinced. Then he went home. After that, he went to Triambak and stayed there for a year and a half. Then again he returned to Shirdi. This time, at the intercession of Dada Kelkar, he was allowed to enter the masjid and stay with Shirdi. Sai Baba's help to Megha was not through any oral instructions. He worked upon Megha internally or mentally, with the result that he was considerably changed and benefited. Then Megha began to look upon Sai Baba as an worship Shiva. Bela leaves are required, and Megha used to go miles and miles every day to bring them and worship his Shiva, which is Baba. His practice was to worship all the gods in the village and then come to the masjid, and after saluting Baba's Gadi, which is asan, he worshipped Baba, and after doing some service, drank the washings or the tirtha of Baba's feet. Once it so happened that he came to the masjid without worshipping God Khandoba, as the door of the temple was closed. Baba did not send him back again, saying that the door was open then. Megha went, found that the door was open, worshipped the deity, and then returned to Baba as usual. Ganges bath. On one Makar Sankranti day, Megha wanted to besmear the body of Baba with sandal paste and bathe him with Ganges water. Baba was first unwilling to undergo this operation, but at his repeated requests he consented. Megha had to traverse a distance of 8 kos to bring the sacred water from the Gomati river. He brought the water, made all preparations for the bath at noon, and asked Baba to get ready for the same. Then Baba again asked him to be freed from his bath, saying that as a fakir he had nothing to do with Ganges water. But Megha did not listen. He knew that Shiva is pleased with the bath of Ganges water, and that he must give his Shiva, which is Baba, that bath on that auspicious day. Baba then consented, came down and sat on a wooden board, and protruding his head said, "O Megha, do at least this favor. Head is the most important organ of the body. So pour the water over that only. It is equivalent to the full or whole bath." "All right," said Megha, and lifting the water pot up, began to pour it on the head, but in doing this, he was so much overwhelmed with love that he cried out, "Har Gange," and emptied the pot on the whole body. He kept the pot aside and began to look at Baba. But to his surprise and amazement, he found that Baba's head was only drenched, but the body is quite dry. Trident and Pindi. Megha worshipped Baba in two places. In the masjid, he worshipped Baba in person, and in the Wada, Baba's big picture given by Nana Saheb Chandorkar. This he did for 12 months. Then, in order to appreciate his devotion and confirm his faith, Baba gave him a vision. Early one morning, when Megha was still lying down on his bed with eyes closed but internally awake, he saw clearly Baba's form. Baba, knowing him to be awake, threw Akshata, rice, and said, Megha, draw a trident, and disappeared. Hearing Baba's words, he eagerly opened his eyes but did not see Baba, but saw only rice grains spread here and there. He then went to Baba and told him about the vision and asked permission to draw trident. Baba said, did you not hear my words asking you to draw trident? It was no vision but direct order, and my words are always pregnant with meaning and never hollow. Megha said, I thought you woke me up, but all the doors were it was a vision. Baba rejoined, I require no door to enter. I have no form nor any extension. I always live everywhere. I carry on as a wire puller all the actions of the man who trusts me and merges in me. Megha returned to the Wada and drew a red trident on the wall near Baba's picture. Next day, a Ramadasi Bhakta came from Pune, saluted Baba and offered him Pindi, an image of Shiva. At this time, Megha also turned up there. Baba said to him, See, Shankar has come. Protect and worship him now. Megha was surprised to see Pindi following trident immediately. Then also in the Wada, Kaka Saheb Dikshit was standing with a towel on his head after having taken his bath and was remembering Sai when he saw a pindi. While he was wondering about this, Megha came and showed him the pindi presented to him by Baba. Dikshit was happy to know that the pindi exactly tallied with the one he saw a few minutes ago in his vision. In a few days after the drawing of the trident was complete, Baba installed the pindi near the big picture which Megha was worshipping. The worship of Shiva is dear to Megha, and by arranging the drawing of the trident and the installation of pindi, Baba confirmed his faith therein. After continuous service of many years, doing regular worship and arti every noon and evening, Megha passed away in 1912. Then Baba passed his hands over his corpse and said, This was a true devotee of mine. Baba also ordered that at his own expense the usual funeral dinner should be given to the Brahmins, and this order was carried out by Kaka Saheb Dikshit. Bow to Sri Sai,